Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my fellow simulant,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we'll be reviewing The Creator. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you who have come back, it's great to have you back. We like to review movies. So we'll never spoil anything in the first, let's call it 15 minutes or so. We'll give you a spoiler-free review from 0 to 5 of the movie, what we thought about it. Then we'll give you some background, and then we'll give you more like a play-by-play and our specific likes and dislikes. But again, no spoilers yet. Mike, The Creator, 0 to 5, you ready?
Yes.
What'd you give it?
Okay, so I had a number that we talked about off, so I'm lowering it. I'm going to say 2.5 to a 3. Mm-hmm. It might be leaning more towards 2.5. Originally, before we spoke, and this is why, damn it, maybe I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But originally, like I had it at 3.5.
Okay.
Because maybe I'll explain why. So I really love the cinematography.
Fair.
Like it reminded me of like, and Blade Runner was a inspiration for this, so I can definitely see that.
For sure.
I guess I just really appreciated because I mean it's a future, but not a distant future. It's also very familiar settings. It's not like it's a galaxy far, far away or anything like that. It's very much modern times, just flash 30 years into the future. So it did give you that.
Good God, 30 years, you're right. I was like 60 years in the future. No, this is like 30 years from now. Damn, yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like I enjoyed all of the settings. I love the world that they're living in. Mm-hmm. Even the design of the AI. Like I think my favorite design of like robots has always been like either Ex Machina. I think that did it really well. iRobot for something like something very simple.
Yeah.
But this one, the world that it was in, I enjoyed the robots. It was a little jarring with the more humanoid ones. Mm-hmm. The strictly robot ones were just fine, but the humanoid ones were a little weird. But it was cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think all the acting was solid. Sadly, except for John David Washington.
Okay.
I feel like I'm starting to get the sneaking suspicion he's not that good of an actor.
Oh my.
I enjoyed him in other things, but I think this one, maybe he just seemed to break character more often than not.
I don't know. What else has he been in again?
So he started out in like Ballers.
Okay.
He was in the Black Klansman.
Okay. Yeah.
With Spike Lee. Mm-hmm. He's done a few things.
Yeah.
And he's Denzel Washington's son, so I guess it's a lot to live up to.
Fair. Yeah.
But like I said, I think I'm seeing certain cracks in the armor a bit when it comes to his acting. Because like in Ballers, he was just playing himself. He was like an NFL player. Mm-hmm. He's a former NFL player, so it was like that's just his realm. Mm-hmm. He's not acting in that.
Fair.
I think if anything, he's like when celebrities do a exaggerated caricature of themselves. In a way. So like you're acting, but you're doing in the opposite direction, right? Mm-hmm. Type of thing. So that's what Ballers was. Black Klansman, he was portraying some guy that exists.
Yep, fair. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is that, obviously you want to pay homage to the person that you're portraying, but still how much how much is that leaning into the acting? So this one, I think it's a very, it's a sci-fi film, which is dope, but it's more grounded. Mm-hmm. And more like human elements, which obviously is interesting because it's like leaning into like a Westworld type of thing. But yeah, like I said, I think his performance was the one that kind of stood out to me, but not in a positive light.
Gotcha.
I really enjoyed the Alfie. The little girl. This is her fucking film debut.
Yeah, she was great.
And she was amazing.
She was really good.
I'm always a little bit wary. I mean, I do give them leniency when it comes to child actors, but like the weight on her shoulders as a dramatic performance.
Such an important part of the movie.
Yeah, she was amazing. It's interesting. We've seen like a few young actresses and actors this past year, and they're maybe not all their first movies, but like the start of their careers, and trying to see where they're gonna go in the future. Yeah. So I'm gonna add her to the list as well because she was like really great.
For sure.
She used to get like Dakota Fanning or like a Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah.
Like the sky's the limit with their
young Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. But yeah, the acting was great. I think the story was good too. Mm-hmm. Just kind of like what would happen. My only gripes, and we talked about it, was like a little. I think the movie was long, but it was like there seemed like a lot missing.
Yes,
I think there are a lot of things that were introduced that were either leaning towards the sequels, or like scenes that were shot that weren't actually in the final product. So it seemed like I said earlier, it was like we got the a recap of a 6-part miniseries
100%.
or something like that. So it was like so many things missing. I think the end was chaotic, but not in a progressive way. It seemed like a lot was happening, and you're just like, no, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are we doing? Type of thing. It did give you, it built anticipation, but it was just like it didn't seem earned.
Yep, I agree.
But I think, like I said, I think it is a good movie. I would, even though I did give it a 2.5. Like I said, originally it was going to be a 3.5 before I spoke to somebody else about it. But I did really enjoy it. It was one of the movies that I was excited to see this year.
Sure.
And I think it did live up to it. Like I said, don't let my review or the rating deter from that. I do think it was a really good film. This guy really loves space. He does space movies really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same director of Rogue One.
Yeah.
Which Rogue One was great. Yeah.
So so at the end, I say 2.5. It may go back up to a 3 at the end. Like I said, there was a certain things that were just missing, but I don't know what happened in the production.
Yeah, in the cutting room floor. Yeah. Like, oh man, like a director's cut of this movie, make this like 3 or 2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah. I'm giving it a 3, but it's just as Mike said. I want to see the cutting floor of this. I want to know the editing that they did, and I want the director's cut that's about 4.5, 5 hours long.
Yeah, this is 2 and some change. I give this 4.5 type of thing. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Make this like a 4.5 hour movie, and I think you have something great. So let's talk the positives for me, because again, I'm giving it a 3, and the reason I'm giving it a 3 with everything is I thought the world was great. I thought everything, like so much of like the characters were cool, like what's going on with humanity was really cool. Seeing even like the small little tech, there's like, and it's not really spoiling anything, but there's like a bomb that they program and it just runs at people and explodes. I'm like, that's freaking crazy in a good way. Like, I love that. But yeah, and it's just, there's so many cool things with this movie, and I can really see what the movie's trying to do. And that's what I liked, is like the movie's trying to do this, and it's trying to be this big, all-encompassing, philosophical piece. The problem is, it needed to be more. You need to expand on this. Like, there were multiple big reveals in this movie that took all of 5 to 10 seconds to be revealed, and they just glossed right over it. They're like, oh yeah, such and such. Keep it moving. And I'm like, no, that's like a huge reveal. Like, that would be like a mid-series finale of something, or that's like something to really be kind of groundbreaking, and they just kind of glossed over it because they didn't have time. Same with like other characters. I'm like, all of a sudden there's this switch of like, oh no, I really care about this person now. And I'm like, where did that come from almost? I didn't even fully see it. But like having more of this would have just done such a better service to this movie. So I'm giving it a 3 because I really liked the concept. I really liked what they were going for, and I could see what they were going for here. But honestly, from a movie perspective, it probably is more like a 2.5, just because of like all like the cutting that they did and had to do. Because again, 2 hours and 13 minutes in this movie already. That's kind of a long movie as it stands. There just needed to be so much more build up here, and there was so much room for this build up that I would have loved to see. So again, some really good parts of it. I totally agree that the actress of Alfie was phenomenal. Seeing like, yeah, just the world they built was great. But then like introducing this character, what's going on here? What's going on here? All right, man, kind of gloss over it a little bit. Like a lot of stuff got glossed. But the tech was cool. Seeing what it was, it just, yeah, it could have been so much more. But since I could see it could have been more, I'm still giving it a 3 because I wanted it to be more, and I'm waiting for the director's cut of it, and I hope they have one. But yeah, so 3 for me, 2.5 for Mike. We're both still saying it's a pretty solid movie. I was also really excited about this movie, seeing trailers for it. I was like, definitely want to review this movie. And you can see there are some great elements to it. But yeah, so I'd say still go check it out, go see it. We need to have good epic sci-fis like this, where a good sci-fi makes you question current life, and that's really kind of what it should be. So I'd say, I think we're both saying go check it out and see. But, know that there's some room for growth with it as well. But cool. All right, let's get into some background. We're not going to spoil anything yet, y'all. So what do we got from here?
Okay. The Creator was released on September 29, 2023. Runtime is 2 hours and 13 minutes. The budget was $80 million.
Okay.
We don't know the box office. It just came out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I checked the Rotten Tomatoes just now. It says 68 from critics. There's nothing from the audience. But also just came out, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But it does seem like the critics... I didn't get to read any of the critics' reviews, but just based on the score, it does seem like they not necessarily liked it, but it did have potential.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
They didn't hate it.
Yeah. Enough people gave it like a somewhat positive review.
Yeah. The genre is action, sci-fi, adventure. This was directed by Gareth Edwards, who, like you said earlier, was the director of Rogue One,
and
Star Wars story.
If Edwards in your name, you have to be a somewhat decent person. That's what I always thought.
He also did the Godzilla 2014 movie. The one that kind of started this whole trend of the monster.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then something called Monsters. I think that's what he kind of jumped on the scene.
Okay.
That was his senior thesis.
Interesting.
So he hasn't done much, but I think he's a big visual effects guy though. Because so the Monsters movie that he did, he was like the writer, director, cinematographer, video. Like he's very hands on in his production. And I think you can see that because, like I said, even talking about the cinematography for this one, it did remind me of Rogue One, Blade Runner, or even like a Westworld. So it's just like it's a more grounded sci-fi, which is interesting, right? It's not your Star Wars where we're just out in the galaxy.
The fuck is Star Force?
I meant Galaxy Quest. But that's his backgrounds are Gareth Edwards, director, cast. You have John David Washington as Joshua, Gemma Chan as Maya, Allison Janney as I think Colonel Howell. Okay. Ken Watanabe as Haroon. Ralph Ineson as Andrews. I think that's the other colonel. Sturgill Simpson as Drew. I think that was his friend from that he met in the city.
Oh yeah.
And then the film debut of Madeline Ayuna-Volas as Alfie.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and like we said, I can't wait to see what she does.
Yep. Absolutely.
She was just a real delight on the screen.
Yeah.
The tagline is "Humanity Evolves."
Okay.
And that's the background that I have.
Cool. All right. So before we get into some of our spoilers and play-by-play, a quick word from our sponsors. That would be us and me. Hi, Edward Hunt here again. I'm a member of the Just Be team of Compass. I'm a real estate agent, and Just Be is all about finding where you're meant to be. So we are specifically the DMV, that's DC, Maryland, Virginia. So if you have want advice about the market, you need some phenomenal handyman or contractors, or you need some great lenders, feel free to reach out anytime, and I can connect you with the right people. Also a great thing, Compass is nationwide. We're one of the biggest brokerages in America. So no matter where you are in the country, if you want some resources or need a phenomenal agent to help you out, feel free to reach out to me and I will connect you with the right people. Writing comics and doing a lot of fun stuff. I'm waiting. I should be getting all my comics in the next 6 weeks for issue 1. Bit of a pain in the butt, but hey, what are you gonna do? So as we go from here, let's get into this movie. What happens with it? So, the creator, Tyler was involved with this, I'm pretty sure,
So the opening text is actually this word, nirmata.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is, in this world, it is I think the father of AI or something.
Is that a real word?
I'm not sure.
Is that in the dictionary?
I didn't get
I don't know.
I've been scrambling today, so I didn't get to look it up.
If you could, please, someone double check Merriam-Webster, hit up my boy, and then see if that's a real word or not.
But yeah, so nirmata is a big word, and we'll see going forward. There's a search for nirmata in this world, and then so after that we get kind of a newsreel, and like you said, very much like 1950s or like The Incredibles. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it was just a lot of exposition on the world that we're going to be viewing in this film. So it speaks on AI and how AI was developed to assist. And
AI is the future. It'll be there for you.
Yeah. So assist in the workforce for a bit. I mean, it was helping. Like people had it as maids and stuff like that, and then they also created a certain force for the police force as well.
Yep.
So just kind of showing AI being integrated into the world, and I thought that was like kind of your mirror, like you were saying. Often sci-fi is very much a mirror to the world that we live in today, but just in a more bombastic way. Yeah. But still focusing on or speaking on what's going on in the present day. So so we get how AI has been incorporated basically in everything in this world, and then at some point AI sets off a nuke in Los Angeles.
And they nuke LA. Yeah. Out of nowhere. It's such a cool opening of just AI is the future, all this stuff. I think it was done really well. Yeah. I'll just be all this great things. And then they just pan to AI has nuked LA. And you're like, oh fuck.
It's like a crime documentary or something like that, where it's just they were the best of friends until they weren't.
Exactly, yeah. And all of a sudden, It got real.
But yeah, so AI nukes Los Angeles, and then there's a big war against AI. So then we jump to 10 years later, and this general is at some congressional hearing of some sort. He's giving a speech, and he's just basically saying it's the anniversary of the bomb in LA, and they're still fighting to eradicate all of AI in the world.
Yep.
So the Western world has definitely adopted this. We don't use AI, but he mentions that in our neighbors over in China or over in Asia have not adopted that.
Yeah, Eastern Asia. Yeah.
Yeah, they still continue to not only develop AI but also live amongst, live with the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And so you see, and they show clips of basically like just in Eastern China, you said?
East Asia. They don't really say specific countries, they just say Eastern Asia.
But in Eastern Asia, you see that there's both AI, is it the Sims or whatever it was?
Yeah, so the simulants are the ones that have like the more human-like features.
So there was a whole thing about people scanning their likeness.
Yeah.
Which once again I still think is a leaning towards what's happening today with like facial recognition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so talking about scanning your likeness, so they're using this likeness to slap faces on the AI. So I don't know the scientific term. I apologize. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, Jim.
You just gotta believe I'm a doctor in here. That's what matters.
I just play one on television. But yeah, so you have robots that that have your robotic faces, and then you have Sims that have like humanoid faces.
Yes.
But there's usually like some mechanics you can see behind the face to know that it's a Sim. And so so basically in the Western world, especially in LA, like there's this fight to eradicate all AI because any existence of AI is a threat to humanity based on what happened 10 years prior.
And 100% in the beginning of this movie, I'm like, yep, I agree. Whatever. I'm just like, fuck him up.
Honestly, I did. I was like, how much more proof do you need?
I know, right? I'm like, they nuked us, dude. Like, so, and like, I think with that, like, and it had some great scenes with it too, of just like, I'm on the Western world side for this. Like, when the movie starts, as we go along, I'm like, I'm 100%, yep, rah, fuck up the AI, they nuked us.
Whatever Batman said, and he was like, if there's a 1% chance, then it's 1,000%. I was just like, yep, 1 equals
100%. Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we got to do.
And math. But yeah, so this is where we enter into the after the nuke 10 years ago. 10 years ago, and we see with the Western world. So like they've created this I don't know, this orbiting.
Yeah, like this orbital gunship.
Yeah,
you know, like this huge thing that's the Nomad.
The USS and now they're sneaking into Eastern China or Eastern Asia, to try to eradicate AI kind of manually.
Yeah, so they have these like SEAL operative missions.
Yeah,
where they just
so after we get the news position with the general, we jump to the shores of like some in Eastern Asia country, somewhere, and you see like this team, this military, the special forces team, popping up out of the water, and they made landfall or whatever.
It is awesome. It's so cool. And like the USS Nomad, you can see because there's just this like beams of light just going down, and
it's kind of just scanning things,
and it's just constantly moving around. It's so cool. It's such a cool thing.
And so now we see that the special forces has made landfall in Eastern Asia, and then we see this couple. We have Joshua and Maya, and they're just laying in bed, just talking. You
being in love and stuff. Yeah, like whatever.
You see their relationship. Maya's pregnant with his child, and they're just flirting, talking before bed. And then Maya hears a sound outside. Yeah, and this is. I mean, we'll see it in a few seconds. But this, I peeped it in the moment, and then it makes sense, like I said, in a few seconds. But like. You hear something outside. You hear some commotion. She jumps up and he's just like chill. And I was just like, why is he not just as alert as she is? You'll find out later. But I was just like, man, she's pregnant. What are you doing?
Help her out. Yeah.
But so Maya goes to the window and she sees the special forces kind of raiding wherever they are. So then you find out that they are kind of like this quote unquote terrorist faction in Eastern Asia, like that are supporting the AI.
So they need to get put down.
They need to get taken out. And so. Some of resistance has captured one soldier, and we find out later this is Drew or whatever. And you just get it. They put him on the floor in front of the couch, and then one of the robots just comes up and starts punching him in the face.
Pop, yeah.
Oh, God damn!
Yeah.
Ask him a question first.
Yeah, I know, right? No. These robots are vicious. Yeah.
And so, like, they're asking him, like, who told you about us? Obviously, they were in hiding. Not that much because you're right off the shore, but whatever.
Right.
Or go more inland, but that's just your bull.
Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty easy to find Jews throwing that out there. Yeah.
But yeah, so like they're telling him. Maya tells it because she seems to be maybe not the leader, but definitely someone in charge.
Yes. Yeah.
And so she tells Huron, I believe Huron, to go get the boat so they can all escape.
Yeah.
And so they tasked Joshua with killing the person they were interrogating. And so Joshua goes and tells Maya to go pack up.
Yeah.
And while he kills the...
Well, it's funny, too, because he's just like, oh, we got to kill him. And Maya's like, we don't have to kill him. We can take him with us. And he's like, no, he saw us. We got to do it. So go pack up the bag. So he does that. And then, all of a sudden...
Yeah, then he leans into the guy. He goes, yo, I'm supposed to give me more time. I'm undercover. Like,
he's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're fucking everything up. Yeah.
And then so he grabs the guy's walkie-talkie. Oh, first he shoots, but he shoots away from him.
Yeah.
And then he grabs his walkie-talkie and said, this is Colonel such and such. I'm undercover. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, you gotta cancel the raid. Cancel the raid.
Technically, he's a sergeant, not a colonel.
Sorry.
But yeah,
many apologies
for the fake military ranks.
Yeah. But so as he's on the walkie-talkie communicating to whoever's on the other side, Maya comes down the stairs, and she says, I thought you gave that up or something.
I thought you were out or something.
Yeah, I thought you were out.
Yeah.
So like she's definitely aware that he's an American. He was a part of the special forces.
Yeah, right. Which, for the record, I mean, it'll go into more of this later. But I'm like, if you are a terrorist organization, why in the world did you even let this man into your group? If he had any military history at all, what? Yeah.
Because she said, I thought you gave it up like it was crack. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Thought you weren't doing that no more.
You weren't doing that
whoa. But yeah, so she turns the gun on him, and then she just ends up escaping on the boat. She leaves him with Drew and like the rest of the team. And he's trying to get her back, but they're like I think some more soldiers show up. Yeah. And
they're all holding him back.
Yeah,
they're like, stop,
get
her out. Yeah, because like the Nomad's about to go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Maya and the rest of the resistance kind of get on boats to try to flee. And this is where we just see like that Nomad gunship.
Yeah.
That's why it was scanning. Like, they were just looking for. They needed the location of the sites to know what to blow up.
Needed targets.
So it shoots down a missile whatever. But it shoots a missile into the water. Yeah. And then it's just a huge wave of fire and water.
It blows up. Yeah.
And it blows up. Yeah. So like Maya and everybody dies.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we jump to I think there's a bit of I guess flashbacks for him a bit.
There's some flashbacks now. We're like 5 years.
And now it's 5 years after that. So it's like 15 years after the initial bomb.
Yep.
5 years after the raid. So now he's out of the military. He's no longer in the special forces. He's still having nightmares about the raid. We see that
about his wife died because it was his wife.
It was his wife, and he did lose a child as well.
Yeah.
And so we see that he has his right arm is like he's a double amputee.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's his left leg and his right arm.
Something like that. Yeah. Definitely an arm and a leg for sure. Yeah. And
so he jumps up and he like turns off his alarm and then like he's taking pills because he's in pain from his amputations. He goes to get scanned by a psychiatrist or something.
They're scanning. They're asking him a question.
Yeah, and they're because of the fact that it was his mission. Like, and he was saying. Oh, this is what he was saying during the when he first took the walkie-talkie from Drew, when he got alone time before he was supposed to kill him. He said, "We haven't found Nirmata yet." So that was his mission. Yeah, was to infiltrate the resistance to find Nirmata, who is the creator of AI, and like it said in the text in the beginning of the movie. So like they're trying to find Nirmata in order to eliminate this person so that they can fully eradicate AI.
Yes, exactly.
And so now 5 years later, he's still being questioned about it because he he lost a bit of his memory after the explosion.
Something.
And during the raid. So like they're still asking him, and it's a lie detector as well. So like he is lying in some ways, talking about like how he feels fine, like he's not having the nightmares anymore and stuff like that. So we see that flash false. The lady continues to question him about the location of Ramada, the identity. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, that flash is true. So
So he's not a traitor by any means. He's just, doing his thing.
And so after the scan, he goes to work, and you see that it's the remnants of. So they're still cleaning up. 15 years later, they're still cleaning up.
Yeah.
After the explosion,
I think they'd have some robots or something to help out.
And so they're still cleaning up the remains of the nuclear explosion from 15 years prior, and that's his job. So he's got this tech suit on for the radiation,
I guess, yeah.
And he's talking with his coworker, and so they're in a car. I guess they're just retrieving robots for the most part. And so they pull a robot out of a car, and you also see that there's a mother and daughter, or a parent and a child.
Yep.
We don't know. It's just a skeleton.
Yeah, they're very
but yeah, you just see they're in the car, and they were in the car during the explosion. They said 500 million people just wiped out immediately.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
And so they pull the robot out of the wreckage, and it kind of turns on, and it says, "Oh my!" It's asking about the two people.
Yeah, he's like, "We got to save them. Were they okay? Yeah. Are they okay? I need to help them." Yeah.
Joshua kind of clips something to shut it
power
off.
cord or whatever. Yeah.
And his coworker is because she's kind of freaked out by this, which is weird because I feel like this can't be either it's your first day.
Yeah, right.
But there's no way that because we see there's a huge pit of robots that are still active.
Yeah.
So it's this can't be your first encounter. Maybe that was just to show out for the audience, but it just didn't make sense.
Yep, exactly.
But we see that she's kind of freaked out by that. She was like, he was alive. That's not something a robot
was alive.
Because it's very much
asking these questions.
Yeah, there's very much in the West at least this idea that they're just robot. It's just a phone.
Yep.
It's a fucking what is the fucking vacuum cleaner?
Oh, the Roomba.
Yeah. Roomba, yeah. It's just
all he did was turn it off. That's not, and that's what you need to say. Which this was such a cool part because you see this philosophical thing of the Western civilization. Joshua and others are just we're just turning it off.
Yeah,
this
it's
real.
Westworld.
Yeah, this isn't real. We're just turning it off. And it was the same of when Joshua was talking with his wife Maya. He was like, "Oh, this isn't reality. You and I are reality.
Yeah.
All these AI people aren't reality." And so his coworker has that same. She's freaking out because she saw this robot come alive, and the first thing it asked about was the family that it loves. So she's all confused by that, and he's like, "No, it's not real. Just turning it off," and he unplugs it. But it's happened so quick. But I do completely agree that it kind of comes out of nowhere, and you kind of see that more build up for all of this wouldn't be a bad thing.
I don't know. Honestly, I was fine with how it happened. I think it was the reaction of the coworker that threw me off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all. Even if something as simple as it happens all the time, rookie, or something to let you know.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Because it's 15 years into this. This isn't fucking year 2.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That kind of threw me off. But
sure.
It was something brief. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after that encounter at work. He goes home, and you just see he has clips of him and Maya.
Yep.
We see his memory of them on the beach. And
this is why I don't record videos of my wife and I, because it's just begging for her to get killed in some way. It's what it is.
It definitely was Minority Report.
It's all it is. If you have a clip of your loved one, you're just
especially in bed under the sheets.
Oh man, now you're
God, you do not want to breathe longer, do you?
On a beach under the sheet. No. You're begging for him to get killed, and I
don't wear white. What are you doing? Get that on there.
And I just can't live with that. So yeah.
Bright colors only. No. Neutral colors only. Earth tones.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's the only way that the directors can make you feel for a spouse.
Nope, that's the only way. Yeah.
But yeah, so he's just reminiscing about Maya. He takes a swim in the pool, and he's visited by the colonel and the general.
Yes.
From the army. He's definitely a loose cannon cop that plays by his own rules. So he was like, "I'm not in it no more."
Yeah.
Immediately, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
I love that general's voice.
It's
the graveliest, creepest, and I'm like, what in the world? So I don't know who's I want to check out what that guy is. Yeah.
That might have been. No, I didn't get the name.
Whatever.
I didn't get his name.
But he had such a unique voice. Yeah. That the entire time I was like, every time he talked, I was like, go on, talk more.
Yeah. Fuck these robots.
Robots are dumb. I hate them anyway. Yeah. Whisper in my ear, General.
Calm it down. Chuck it in your pants. But yeah, so they try to recruit him. They're basically the gist of it is. the military has found out that the resistance over in Eastern Asia or Nirmata has created a new weapon.
Yes.
Called the Alpha Omega. They don't know what it does, but they need to get a hold of it.
But we gotta destroy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Joshua initially says, because once again it's the call to action in every hero's journey.
Yeah.
He initially says no. Then they play some footage from 2 days ago, and he sees Haroon.
Yeah.
And Maya,
Yes.
who he assumed that they were all killed during the raid 5 years prior. And they say that, this was taken a few days ago. She's still alive.
Yeah.
And this is his motivation because obviously he's been pining for her since her death.
Yeah.
And so,
At the same time, there's also another cool scene from the woman, the colonel, when she was talking about how Neanderthals, and I thought that was so cool. She mentions how
yeah.
The quote was she was talking about like Neanderthals are actually very smart. They had medicine, they had tools, they had all this other stuff. The problem with Neanderthals is they just went up against like people who are more vicious and smarter, humanity.
Yeah.
And now she's saying the same thing of like now AI is more like smarter and more vicious, so they're going to destroy us. But if you think about it, she could also be talking about humanity trying to eliminate AI in the same way. So like I was like, when she had that quote, I was like, that's cool. I love that. I thought that was a great little monologue scene about like the philosophy of this movie. It was awesome.
I think it was perfect because it's the idea that like which like she said, like you think of Neanderthals as just like lower, lower on the bottom, lower on the totem pole or something like that. And when it comes to intelligence, like they still were able to fit medicines, tools, and like art and like just different things like that. So they're not as dumb as you think. It's just dumb compared to where you're at now.
Yeah, and Homo sapiens were able to eliminate them because they were just a little more vicious and a little smarter. Yeah. And then she's saying AI, a little smarter, more vicious, wants to kill humanity. But you can also make that same argument: Homo sapiens, humanity. They created AI. You could say in certain ways they're a little smarter, and they're definitely a lot more vicious than AI, and they're being the ones trying to eliminate another species in another way. Humanity is the problem. Right, is what
this is why I can't stand people pushing for our AI. Every single time. I feel like I need to start reading action. Well, no. If there's any articles that exist, it's probably too late.
You're like, crap.
So my only references are fucking film and television. Because like every fucking time something we create gains sentience, the first thing it says is humanity is the cancer. And we need to eliminate it.
And I'm like,
Skynet.
Damn it.
Westworld.
Constantly, every time.
Fucking Ultron.
Damn it.
They scan for a smooth 2.5 seconds on the internet. And they're like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Problem solved.
Problem solved easily. Yeah.
Let's stop pushing for that in the real world. Let's leave it at self-driving cars. Stop giving them faces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Self-driving cars, they're going to want to crash us.
We don't need them having compassion. None of it.
And a self-driving car, the first thing it's going to do, crashes into a nuclear reactor. It's going to be messed up.
Well, yeah, so we jump to now Joshua joins the mission. They're flying into East Asia, sorry.
Yeah.
And what's her name? Hao gives a speech. Basically, she says that she lost her sons, both her sons, to the war.
Yep.
They joined up because of her. One of her sons, like, he fell for like some barmaid.
He fell in love with a simulant.
Yeah, in East Asia, but she just kind of used him.
Yeah. Oh, she entrapped him and had to go to like now her and like the other terrorist factions like killed the crap. And probably it sounds like they tortured him. Yeah. So I'm 100%. I'm like, yep, fuck, these guys gotta go. I'm like USA.
But she also tells like they don't, even though they are for the most part they're leaving. They don't invade the U.S.
Yeah.
But they have no love for the military.
Yes.
In Asia, so it's just like if you get caught, you're on your own.
Fuck off.
Type of thing. Very much like a Suicide Squad type of thing.
Yeah.
And so,
what did you think of the scene of the captain putting in the headphones and all of a sudden like the music started playing that he was listening to? It was a cool scene, but if you think about it, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was just like the captain of this, he like puts in the headphones and you get like that soundtrack, that I can't make the fucking noise with my mouth, but like, and while they're flying through, and it's a really cool cinematography scene. They're flying through, but the fact is like, is that what he's listening to like pump himself up for a mission? This is what he listens.
Well, I think it's like the classic, like all the Vietnam War movies that had I don't know the name of the song, but it was just like, it was just played throughout. So I think when it comes to military or something like that, there is a specific like soundtrack to it. Because I can't remember the song, so I can't really speak on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they land in They land in China or whatever.
Yeah, whatever country it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to that's another reason why they recruited Joshua, because of the fact that when he was under cover, he knew the lay of the land.
He knows the laboratory.
They know where the lab is. Mm-hmm. They just don't know the entrance because apparently the location that the lab is, they built a town over.
Yeah.
So the military infiltrates the town. And they start just interrogating people, like holding up, like the guy, the captain holds up the dog and says, "Whose dog is this?"
Yeah.
And he's about to shoot it, and the little girl whose dog it is starts pointing at something.
Yeah. So they're like, "Where's the lab? How do we get in the lab?"
And everybody's like, nobody's answering, but this little girl, because her dog is being threatened, like she kind of starts pointing at something, but the captain isn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
There are like translators they do have, but he's not paying attention. But Joshua is watching her. And he sees that she points kind of to this altar with at the fire. Yeah. And so he goes to the altar, kind of turns something, one of the statuettes or whatever, and it opens up this like a hatch in the.
So all I got from this is that his methods worked. 100%. It's like it worked. Yeah. So him putting the dog.
I feel like you're not. It's not an inquiry after the mission. Like, you don't have to justify it.
I'm just saying it worked.
I feel like if you need to justify it.
Yeah. Because you see in a movie like he has a dog, he's threatening a dog, and you're like, oh my god, he's threatening a dog, but he doesn't kill the dog. The little girl tells him what they need to know. Everyone goes on their way. Mission accomplished, boys. All right, we did it. Right?
The paperwork for this. I'm not gonna have a good weekend now. Somebody threatened a fucking Doberman. So they go into the lab and they just start killing everybody.
Yep, as one does.
Then they see this huge, door.
Yeah, it's like this big vault.
And there's a guy. I think that's who Shipley was his name.
Yes. Yeah.
Shipley has this device to unlock it, but it's like a 10-digit code or something like that, so it's gonna take time. And while they're in the lab, one of the soldiers is like basically playing lookout, and she sees that the police are coming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she had a badass scene.
Yeah,
she had such a badass scene.
And so it's like she has a mech suit or whatever, and so the cops stop. So she warns them first, right, that the cops are coming, so they got to hurry the fuck up. We need to find Alpha Omega, and we need to get the hell out of
moving.
And so the cops kind of stop her, and you see that their military force is all either sims or like robots.
Yes. Yeah.
And so before they drove up, like she kind of launched something from her mech suit, and then like kind of puts her hands up. Yeah. And after they park you see that they were rockets.
Yeah.
And they just blow up everything. I was like, oh, that was fucking dope.
Yeah. I will say, you'd think the simulants and AI would kind of learn. They're like, you just got to start shooting these people.
Yeah.
It's like every single time they put their hands up, they're like, oh, all right, fine, we won't shoot these people. And then every single time.
But I think it just goes to show it is this.
Yeah.
The Western world's understanding. It was like it's all AI is a threat.
Yeah.
And then you see on the other side, it was like they just want to exist.
Yeah.
Right? So it isn't that...
Well,
it's fighting a war against an enemy that doesn't hate you.
Yeah.
They're just... You attack them, so this is a response.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh no, we both beefing. Mm-hmm. This is what it is. It's very much... One's the aggressor, one is just trying to continue to exist.
Yeah.
And so... Yeah, so she... and like destroys the first wave, the first wave of cops that show up, and she was like, "Guys, we got to get out of here because obviously there are going to be more coming." Mm-hmm. And so she starts getting gunned down by the second wave. So the captain is like, "All right, Shipley and Joshua, I can't remember his last name, but he says like, you guys stay here." Mm-hmm. He sent another soldier to plant a bomb or whatever, or a beacon or something like that. That's what it was. So that the gunship knows where to fire.
Yeah.
And then he and the rest of the soldiers go to help out the soldier that was like standing watch. So now you just have Shipley and Joshua there waiting outside the door. The thing's doing a scan to break the code, and then the guy who was setting the beacon gets gunned down as well.
Yep.
So Shipley goes to help him, and he tells Joshua, "Don't go in there without me."
Yeah. Because
it'll take some time to unlock. Don't go in without me. Mm-hmm. It immediately unlocks. Of course. Not immediately, but
it unlocks in
movie time. Is he gone? All right.
Good. All right. Thank God he's out of here. All right.
I hate that guy. Joshua goes in, and it's just this huge door for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
And he goes into this room. And there's just a single chair in the middle of the room, and then a TV.
Yep.
And he goes up to whatever's in the chair, or like whoever's in the chair, and you see that it is the Alpha Omega is just a sim.
Yeah, a little
but
kid.
It's a child.
Yep. And it's the first time there's ever been like a child sim.
I assume that's what it was because it was like they were making a kind of a big deal out of it.
Yeah, there's never been a child sim before this. Like,
yeah, and so I think he's told to like take it out or whatever, but he doesn't know. But before he can actually, whoever was watching the child shoots Joshua.
Yeah,
and she opens the hatch to an escape hatch, and she tells Alpha Omega to escape, run.
Yeah.
So Alpha Omega runs, like she climbs the ladder, and she makes it out into like this cornfield in the town, but like safely away.
Yeah.
Joshua follows her, and then we see like the Marines are, I guess not, the special forces are trying to escape.
Yeah, and there's just chaos.
Right? Yeah, there's a bunch of chaos. They try to escape, but one of the cops like puts a bomb on
like a remote bomb or like a remote detonator bomb.
So and as the soldier jumps into the helicopter, they can't get it off in time. The helicopter explodes. All the special forces are dead.
Yep.
I think Colonel Howell was like, she was at the helicopter.
She was at the helicopter, then she ran off.
Yeah, she was like, because she wanted to go grab Joshua, and she was like, if I'm not back in 3, whatever.
Yeah, get out of here.
Just go.
She leaves. It's like, if I'm not back in 3, then they're like, Nomad's going to strike in 1. I'm like, all right, there's a lot of stuff. There's like a lot of miscommunication.
A lot of numbers. I can't keep it.
Like, what the world? So like, she's going back in 3, Nomad's striking in 1. What the fuck? Yeah.
So Nomad strikes the base. Joshua just narrowly escapes the hatch,
But gets knocked out.
Yeah. And so he wakes up the next day. He was like in a boat.
Yeah, somehow he woke up in a boat.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, but then Alpha was there, so I'm assuming that Alpha put him in the boat.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing that makes
sense. And so he sees Alpha like on the banks of the river or whatever, and he kind of throws a rock. Like, get out of here. And they're like, this is what I was saying. Like, he kind of broke character in a bit. It was very much like a more modern. His reaction was very modern or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, get the fuck out of here type of thing. It wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like a soldier would say it. I don't know.
Got you. Okay.
It's hard for me to articulate. Like I said, it's just like seeing his performances in other things. This is the one where, like I said, it kind of broke.
Sure.
But so he throws a rock at her to kind of get her to run away, and then he turns his back and she throws it back at him and then smiles as if it's a game. This is where you can see it's a child. Like,
yeah, it's a child who's been in a vault for never seen the. I think she, like the other woman even says, like never really seen the sun or whatever too. So this child's been trapped in a vault for who knows how long.
And so Joshua, I think he's scanning the area. He finds Shipley, who also was able to escape
somehow.
But
Shipley came out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here, Shipley? Yeah, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
But he's badly injured. I think he's bleeding from his head. I don't know. He has some injury or something like that.
He's bleeding a lot.
Yeah, so Joshua drags him to like some house, and they're trying to he's trying to use his communicator to contact Howell because Howell's also still there.
Yeah. Because Howell reached out to Shipley, and they on like Shipley's communicator. Yeah.
And so as he's trying to reach out to Howell, fucking Alpha Omega like just sits in the. She follows them to the house. Yeah. And then just turns the TV off. And just sits down and starts like no situation awareness and shit like that. And then like so Joshua after he connects with Howell like Shipley's hurt really badly, but we need to find a place to rendezvous so we can get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I do have the weapon.
Yeah.
And so he turns the TV off. Alpha Omega turns it back on. He goes to turn it off again. And you see that she didn't have a remote or anything like that. She can just control
tech with her hands.
Tech with her hands, like that is her power. Yeah. And so, I think a cop shows up. No.
The random farmer guy.
There's a farmer. Yeah, the farmer calls somebody, which I assume is the resistance, and he says, "I found the child."
Yep. Yeah.
And he says, "I'll kill the."
He comes in. The cops hear what because.
What happens is the farmer comes, sees the child. Well, so like he holds.
Because it's a simulant farmer.
Yeah. So he sees the child, holds what's his name, Joshua at gunpoint, and then speaks to the child like. How much she's a miracle, and he says in I assume Mandarin or something,
whatever language,
that he will kill the American and get her out of there. Yeah. But like I said, the military had these translators on him. Yeah. And so Joshua hears the translation of what he says. So like they both go for their gun because he told Joshua to throw his gun. They go for the gun. You just hear a gunshot. and then the police who are scouting the area hear the gunshot.
Yeah.
And then we jump back, and Joshua was able to shoot the farmer before he got to him.
And falls, yeah. And then the little child looks at him and like looks at the dead thing, and then Joshua just says off.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's what it is. It's just turned off because he doesn't think of it as like a real human or a real being.
And so he takes the keys from the farmer had like a truck or something like that. He takes those keys, drags Shipley into the truck, and then he tells Alpha Mega to get in. She's just sitting there just playing. She's a fucking kid. But then, so he throws her in, and because the police start firing at the garage, and then they throw a bomb. One of the cops throws a bomb into the garage, but before it can go off, like Joshua tries to get to it, there's a dog there that's barking. The dog grabs a bomb and brings it back to
place fetch.
brings it back to the cops and just like drops it into the trench. It explodes, and then Joshua was able to drive away. And then you just see like the cops, like most of them like don't have heads or like torsos or anything like that, so they're just running around. Joshua drives away, but the car breaks down, and then at the same time you see that the Howell and the captain have been captured.
Yeah, Hal got arrested. She gets put in, and they're trapped by the cops.
And then they're able to subdue the cops, steal their car, and now they're on the hunt for not on the hunt actually at this point. They're trying to link up with Joshua and
Alpha and Shipley.
And then while they're driving, before the car breaks down, what happened? Oh, Joshua showed Alpha Omega the picture of Maya. And he was like, "Do you know her?" And he can definitely tell that the weapon has seen Maya before. So he's like, "I know what the mission was supposed to be. Like we were supposed to bring her up, but it was like I need to find."
Well, fuck that! I'm looking for Maya. So he goes off the rails, and he's just trying to find Maya. And so
Shipley says something in the back because he recognizes that the weapon is a sim or whatever, but he dies.
And then Alpha says off.
And says off. And so.
And like if looks could kill. When Joshua looks at her when she said off, he was like, "Oh man, he's pissed that she said that." But it's the same thing he said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they ditch the car. Another car is coming, and they say, we're having car trouble. Can you take us to such and such city? Because I think he's making threats to Alpha that like, I can't get this information out of you, but I know somebody that can.
Yeah.
And so this father and his kids are driving in this van, offer to take them to wherever city they need to go. So they jump into that car. Shortly after, Howell shows up, the captain. They are able to. They have this machine where they can scan. The
scans the brainwaves.
Or something like that into a flash drive or something like that. And then they take one of the sims, plug in the flash drive. And they get like 30 seconds with whoever they scan, and the person they scanned was Shipley.
Which is nuts. What implications does that say for the human soul? Exactly. I'm just throwing that out there. When you can scan brainwaves, I think, like you're saying, it was just like they introduced so many things, and they kind of just yada away. But like, just think about it. Like literally,
and also for people who don't give a fuck about AI like that or are trying to eradicate it, it doesn't make sense how much you're relying on it as well.
I mean, you got to use the tools to take him out. Right? But it's because like literally, because Shipley is aware that he's dead, and they even tell her like, "Sorry, son, you died." And
because he keeps it. He's like, they literally lay him they laid a sim next to his body, then plug in his conscious. And they had just 30 seconds before he's like dead again.
What the fuck? And so like, what does that even mean? Like,
and then so they're trying to get information from him, and you just hear him saying like, my wife, like tell my wife.
Oh man.
And so like
the implications.
And so they just basically say that Joshua still has the weapon. And they just label him a traitor because he was
out of nowhere. I'm like that.
But I think I guess I get it kind of because it was just like they could have just stayed still.
He could have rendezvoused with them. He's going off the rails.
So it was like that's just the immediate. But he doesn't know. Joshua had mentioned it to Shipley, but like Shipley's so in shock at the fact that he's dead.
The fact that he died and just brought back to life.
That they don't have time enough for him to tell them exactly where Joshua was going. So now we see this is a bit of a montage of like them driving through Eastern Asia. You see like the different farmers and like the people living. You have this whole little like the music changes for the soundtrack. You have like, oh, these are people living their lives with AI and everything's so in sync, and like what's the philosophy behind all
all of this and butterflies and going through.
And then they get stopped at a checkpoint because that was another thing too. Like Shipley had mentioned that we need. Oh, I'm hurt. You need to take me to the military base.
Yeah.
And it had said early in the debriefing that the nearest military base was like 400 miles away.
Yeah, so no way.
And there was no way for them to get there because there's checkpoints in this place, like checking for soldiers and Americans and stuff like that. And so the guy who's driving them to the city gets stopped at the checkpoint. He mentions that the guard there mentions like it says here you're supposed to have 5 children in the car, but there's 6.
Yeah.
And he goes, I forgot that my brother's kid was with me or some stupid shit like that because Joshua was hiding. Yeah. And Joshua had put the hat on the weapon. At this point, he's calling her Alfie.
Yes.
Because her name was, he saw that it was Alpha Omega, like she's been tagged or whatever, so he's calling her Alfie.
Yep. As soon as you name something, you start getting feelings for it. Rookie move, Josh.
So he had put a hat on her to cover up her ears because that's where the gears and stuff like that that really show that she's a
doesn't really hide shit.
Which was weird. I guess it's because of the fact that she's a child that they know that it's something different. Yeah. That's why. Because I was like, they're living in this world like similar to the cops are similar.
Yeah, exactly. They're everywhere.
But it was like it's a child. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And so this is we get another display of her power because the cop is trying to get her to take her hat off, and she doesn't. Yeah. And so she uses her power to shut down all the tech at the checkpoint, all the cars, everything. Yeah. And then she turns just theirs back on, and the guy drives away. Yeah, and Josh is sitting there with a gun, so I guess he is kind of threatening this dude. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna drive me or else." Yeah, I guess like all the kids are playing around having fun, so they just have no idea what's going on. Okay, kids and situation awareness is not a thing. That's fair. They're like, "Oh, Dad's got a gun to his head. Okay, let's play in this car." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Yeah. And so we get them driving a little bit more, and then during the montage too, you do see like Alfie playing with the other kids. Yes, right. Yeah. And it was like the kids just see her as one of them. There's no like animosity or anything like that. So now they've made it to the city. They meet it with Drew in some factory of some sort. Yeah. And this is the guy that was in the raid from 5 years earlier. Yeah, this was one that was in punched in the face. Yeah. Poor Drew. And then so we see now that he's working in the city now. Odd, yeah. And I think it goes to saying, like, these are the stories we needed to see. Like, what made him change his mind? Yeah, this man was a special operative, and now he's working in the same country that he was attacking earlier, and now he has a sim girlfriend or sim wife. Sim wife, yeah. And he brought Alfie to Drew in order to get information out of her, and this is where we see that we know that she has the capability to shut down technology, but when she gets older, the power will also grow. Yeah, because she's a simulant that can actually grow. Because I guess in general, simulants can't grow. Yeah. They don't really explain the rules to these simulants, but I'm assuming they're just like, here they are, they're the same age forever. Yeah. And it's kind of like having a robot girlfriend in Futurama. Like, they stay the same age, and you can, Well, that was another thing, too, that like I was saying, was like, when they were traveling from one city to another, he saw Maya. Yes. Yeah. But he saw several versions of it because at some point she had also, I guess, scanned her likeness. Her likeness. Yeah. And so, so they find out that that was their I guess the resistance plan is the fact that since Alfie can shut down technology around her as she gets older, which most simulants don't, her power will grow. Yep. So it starts with the car or the TV. And stuff like that, but it'll grow to something a lot bigger. Yeah. And the whole thing was them realizing that if Nomad shut down, if that gunship shuts down, the resistance has won. Yeah. Because that's the only thing keeping them in power. That's what or winning the war. Yeah, that's the only reason the Western world can win is because they have the one Nomad ship. Yeah. And so, as they're finding that out, we see that Howell and the police, like the police from the Eastern police, have found the location of Alfie, because we do see their faces kind of plastered all over on wanted posters. And I'm like, how y'all not have facial recognition? He's just out here. Yeah, don't think about it too. Just have fun with it. Yeah, because you would think. Because normally in a city like this, it was like, oh, he's hooded or something like that. He's not moving. He's moving in a specific way because of the fact that they are being searched for. Yeah, but you would think in a world with all this AI tech, all these cameras and everything are constantly picking up on anything. But in this situation, I guess not.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's being like having superheroes that's overpowered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They can solve everything, so you need to figure out a way to dampen that power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And usually, you get kryptonite, or you just don't think about it.
Don't think about it. I guess you could say this isn't a police state where they're just like monitoring their citizens like that. But yeah.
So Alfie is upstairs with the girlfriend. I can't remember her name, and she's ordering ice cream.
She's just a simulant. That's fine.
Yeah. Because there was a scene from the trailer where the lady asked her, "What do you want from the fridge?" And Alfie goes, "For robots to be free." Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Well, we don't have that. Yeah. How about ice cream?" And it's like a cute moment in the trailer, but in the movie, in the context of the movie, it didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was very much like, what child asked for that?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want for dinner? World peace. Shut up, Connor. Get your goddamn dino nuggets.
Go to bed. Hey, no dinner for you. Swear my
world peace.
Yeah, my child asked for that for dinner. I swear to God.
The 5 knuckles. But yeah, so she orders ice cream from, I assume, DoorDash.
Yeah.
Because
which is the creepiest DoorDash delivery guy ever. She opens the door. Hey, here's your ice cream. This like super hooded, bulky dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
And so, she takes the bag, she opens it up, and then as she's opening it up, we see that the delivery driver is actually one of the cops because it seems to be like there's one one face likeness that they've used throughout.
Yeah, because he gets fucking killed a lot and he keeps coming back.
Terminator style. But yeah, so they kill the girlfriend with the bomb, and then they go to try to. Actually, they're being very nice to Alfie.
Yeah, right. Everyone, they're just like, fuck that girl.
He's like, come. Like the cop is like, come with us. Like we'll protect you. And like she's a little hesitant, but not that scared. Yeah. And then, but Joshua comes in. He kills all of them. He kills the cops. Yeah. And even though Drew has a moment with his wife, he's just like in tears that she's.
Right, Drew's super sad. Yeah. And Josh is also looking at him like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you married to a sim? Like, why are you loving a sim?
But like I said, I think and you mentioned this earlier, is the fact that they introduce these things, these elements, but don't really give it time to grow. Mm-hmm. Because what is Drew's story? Like, right? What is his story? He literally was in the military, anti all of this. Yep. They're just, we shut them off. They're not things. They're not real.
I want a 45-minute episode of Drew being like injured from the raid, and he gets picked up and helped by simulants.
Yeah, the Nightingale.
Like he gets helped by simulants, and then he learns that they're like good people or like good AI out there too. Then he falls in love, and he has this job now. I want Drew's story.
Yeah. But yeah, so Drew, Joshua, and Alfie escape. Yep. Shortly after, we see the police come in to raid, and. We see that Hal and the captain have infiltrated the police. Yeah. They kill all the cops there.
Hell yeah.
And I think they use the machine again to figure out what happened before or something like that.
Possibly. Yeah, there's like some kind of scan machine that also plays like memories of shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this thing?
And so, they go to another site. I think they go to the site of the raid.
Yes, they go to like his original house.
Drew takes them to the site of the original raid. And...
I guess there was radiation and stuff here that was fucked up. Yeah. He has to wear the suit there, too.
Yeah.
We don't really know. Sometimes he has to wear a suit. Sometimes he doesn't wear a suit. It doesn't fully get...
Yeah. But yeah, so Joshua goes to the house, and Drew's like telling him no, don't go. Yeah. And then Joshua goes, Alfie goes, and then Drew kind of... I think he notices that ships are coming in.
Yeah.
And right as Drew is like warning them to get out of there, he gets shot down. He dies. And we see that this is the Resistance. So this is Haroon and Maya's people from earlier in the movie, in the original raid.
It's Haroon and all the no-names. Because we don't know it.
But they don't have faces.
Yeah, a couple of them have faces, all right?
They're just VCRs and projectors.
They're not real, all right?
But yeah, so they take, first they take Alfie, knock Joshua the fuck out. Like,
yeah. Well, so they shoot Drew, and then Drew reveals that Maya is Nirmata.
Yes.
Yeah, Drew reveals that Maya is Nirmata, and then Drew tries to run out with Joshua tries to run out with Alfie now because Drew's dead, and then they get surrounded, and they knock the fuck out of Joshua, and then they like take Alfie on the ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they have Joshua locked up on a boat. They're going to one of their sites. Mm-hmm.
And you can see, like, because Joshua, to infiltrate, was a member of this
group.
Yeah,
they called him brother.
Haroon calls him brother. And I'm like, damn, yeah.
And so, we jumped forward, but it was just like Joshua's locked up.
He escapes.
They refuse to take him to Maya because they know that he's a part of the military.
Yeah, so they're like, now we're just going to kill you.
Yeah. And so... I think what's her name? Alfie comes down, lets him out,
Yeah, because they say let's go find Mother together.
Yeah.
Because now because through this has happened, Joshua and Alfie have developed a relationship. I don't fully get why they've developed a relationship, but they kind of had developed a relationship. I would have loved to see more of that, but yes.
And so Joshua escapes. They don't go searching for him, so he literally just clings to the bottom of the boat. And I'm just like, I saw that coming. I was like, yeah, so he's gonna cling to the bottom of the boat.
Oh my god! Like the most easiest of scans. Like just scan for 1 second, you will see this man is under.
Where the fuck would he go?
He can go nowhere else. You would have seen him go anywhere else, and they're like, no, we gotta move. And I'm like,
curse! They went in the water. We'll never catch him.
Except like, sir, you're in the middle of the ocean, and there's no land. There's only one place he can go right now. Like,
oh, it's hilarious. But so they end up at their base, and he sees that Maya is comatose.
Well, this is before. So before there's like the first base. They agree to help. The Americans attack that first base. And then this entire time we're told that the only reason the U.S. and the Western world can win is because of the Nomad. They don't even use the Nomad in this, and they just fuck up these people. And I'm like, are you sure they can't? And meanwhile, every AI is living with, and I'm talking kind of quick, but every AI is living with other humans in there.
Yeah.
The Americans attack that first encampment, and it's some very touching moments. One AI guy who's pretty high up there, instead of going in and getting blown up by humans, he decides to sacrifice himself so humans will live. You'll see very throwaway moments around this time too.
Yeah, that's what I was like. That's what I was saying. I was just kind of jumping to the next site.
Well, so Haroon, Haroon says, "Oh, we didn't even nuke the LA.
Yeah,
that was a coding error,
which was a human error.
Which was a human error, not an AI error. We would never do that. And you know what's going to happen when we win this war? Nothing. We're going to leave everyone alone. We just want to live." Such a powerful moment. But me talking about it that quickly is literally the exact same thing the movie did to this moment. And I'm like, this was such a great thing. But anyway, the army attacks. That first thing happens. Joshua kills the captain, saves the girl. Him and Haroon go to the next temple, where then we see Maya is comatose. Yeah, we have all this.
So we already know that she's so her father was, and that's why we do get flashes early in the movie, like the reason why he targeted her, because the military knew that they presumed that she was Nirmata's daughter. Yeah. So if Joshua got close with her, he'd find out the location and the identity of Nirmata. Then we find out right before he sees her again that her dad was Nirmata. When he died, she just took on the mantle.
Yep. Because she can create. She's smart as shit. She creates stuff. So what she did is she used the embryo that she had
to create Alfie.
Yeah. But then in the attack, the baby miscarried and she was put in a coma.
Yes.
From the bomb. Yeah.
And so they've been keeping her on life support, but I think
because they're like, simulants can't kill Nirmata. And I'm like, what can and can't simulants do? Because they're like, simulants would never harm humanity, and they kill a lot of people. I was about to say,
immediately when in the raid, Homo was punching Drew in the face.
Yeah, they kill a lot of people. So it's kind of anyway, it's still a really cool world.
Well, it's like Batman doesn't kill; he just puts people to sleep.
They just get really sleepy. Alfred Tubman, they just get really sleepy when I fight them. Yeah.
So we have this very touching moment. That's why Alfie was calling her mother, because she's the mother of AI, but especially Alfie. Yep. And we get this touching moment between Alfie, Joshua and Maya, where he pulls the plug.
Yep. Well, he's saying he's hugging Alfie, who's crying. He's crying. He says, "I love you." Pulls the plug on Maya. She dies. And then the captain comes in. The captain's already dead. Yeah. Joshua killed the captain. The Colonel Howell comes in. She dies. I loved her death because literally she got a bomb planted on her. Alfie was like, "No, I'm not going to let the bomb explode." The two fucking soldiers with her are like, "No, he's got a weapon. Fucking kill him." So then Joshua tackles Alfie to move it, and since he's no longer stopping the bomb, and the Colonel's like, "Oh wait, she's trying to save me." Yeah. Nope. Now Colonel dies for the other two. I'm like, that's what you get. Now I'm Team Eastern Asian AI. All right.
But they still get captured, right?
At this point in time, yes, they still get captured
because you're just rushing through. So they get captured. Joshua is labeled a hero. Because of the fact that
everyone's like, "Sir, you're a hero. It's fine."
Yeah.
He's like, no. Yeah. So they get separated. Yeah. Joshua doesn't really want to tell anyone, to the general or anything like that. It's kind of like the higher ups know that Joshua's not a hero, but the world says Joshua's a hero because of whatever. They're like, it's easier just to call him a hero.
Yeah. So now they've captured Alfie. They bring back Joshua as a hero. They want to decommission
destroy
Alfie.
Yeah.
But they won't have it
anytime anyone gets close to Alfie, Alfie uses her powers to turn off the tech. But since Alfie trusts Joshua, they're like, all right, let's bring in Joshua to turn her off because she'll let him do it because he'll do it humanely. Otherwise, they're just gonna like bomb her or some shit like that.
And so like they have her on a lab table or whatever. Joshua goes in, he turns on a gun, he whispers something, and then he shoots her.
Yep. But they don't know
what he said. Yeah, what he said. And so they're transporting her because it was like I think. Initially, he was saying they could have decommissioned her up on the Nomad, on the ship. But it was like, no, they wanted to do it at the site.
Yeah, it's too dangerous for that, so they're just going to incinerate her. Joshua's like, hey, can I watch? And they're like, the guy's like, it's not a funeral. He's like, oh, but it is to me. And then they let Joshua on the same ambulance to travel with her. I'm like, sir.
And this is the chaos of the
y'all are just asking for this right here.
Stuff needs to happen for the plot, not because it makes sense.
Exactly. Come on, gravelly voice general. You know better than this.
But so, as they're transporting Alfie to be incinerated, Joshua's in the ambulance with her. Yep. And they finally get a recording because like the EMP device they were using disrupted the recording, so they couldn't see what he was saying to what he whispered to Alfie before he shot her with the EMP. And what he said was not off, just on standby.
Just on standby. So he's just putting Alfie in standby mode, so not actually killing her.
And so he tells her now, like on the truck, he tells her now. She flips it. They take out the guards or whatever.
Yeah, they get away.
And then they somehow get away.
They
it's very much like fucking Mission Impossible.
Yeah, they somehow get away. Now they're on like a moon.
So like now they go to the airport. Yeah. To get a flight to the moon.
Yes.
He has tickets somehow.
Yep.
But they don't work. But then Alfie uses the power to make it work.
Yep. They hijack the flight because they're trying to ground all the flights. They hijack it and fly to Nomad. Instead. Yeah. Then they're
able to like take out the guards. Once again, a lot is happening. Yeah. He's able to take out the guards. Alfie runs to the control center.
Just runs past fucking everyone. like, why is no one stopping this small child from running past you to take everything out right now?
It should have been like fucking across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. She's just sprinting, and like everyone's like, oh, we gotta evacuate. Fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. So
the Western world, they have found every AI thing. They're using Nomad to bomb every remaining AI hub. Yes, is what they're doing. They're using Nomad for that. The world's upset with them. Mass protests. Blah 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 blah.
So Alfie goes to the control center. Joshua is able to take out the remaining guards. Just shoots them into space because they deserve it. Yeah. She shuts down Nomad. Yes. Which stops a lot of the missiles.
A bunch of missiles already went off.
Yeah, it stops a few of the missiles.
It stops a couple of the missiles.
And because the Nomad is shut down, now it's a mass evacuation.
Yeah. And since she shut down the Nomad, now the rest of the missiles don't work anymore. Yeah. Even though she just flickers it. She's like, it's off, now it's back on. Why can they not shoot the rest of the missiles now? Fuck it, whatever. Yeah.
And so Joshua puts a bomb on one of the missiles. Yep. And then now they're supposed to be retreating back to the ship that they got.
But remember, Joshua's running out of oxygen for some reason because space.
And then while on her way back, Alfie sees a simulant, a sim, of Maya.
Yeah, there's like a whole sim room in there.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying about not understanding the military's stance on this.
Well, the military must have utilized like the sims to like trick Joshua in the first place and say like, oh, see, Maya's alive.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
I don't know. They never explain it.
That does help. Okay.
They never explain it, but that, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, this end is chaotic. So, Nomad has been evacuated. Joshua plants a bomb for like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Alfie's on her way back so they can escape on the plane or the ship that they got there on. But she sees a room full of sims. She sees one that's Maya. She drags it through, but like she's a child. She's not
strong enough. She tries to upload Maya's brain.
And then she uploads Maya's conscious into but it's not working fast enough. She needs to get to Joshua. Yeah. She gets to Joshua in just enough time because he's running out of oxygen. So she saves him, and she just she shuts down the airlock so that he can get air. Yep. And she's like, while that's happening, I'll go.
There's an escape pod.
Yeah. And so
the military has a robot, a remote controlled robot.
Yeah, very much some hentai shit.
Yeah, exactly. And then also Alpha forgets that she has powers because why doesn't she just shut down the remote control robot with her powers? But we need chaos at the end here.
Yeah. So Alpha's on the she's in the escape pod being attacked by this monster or whatever, this robot monster. Joshua is able to stop the monster.
Alpha remembers she has powers and shuts down the thing after when it's too late for anything to matter.
And then Joshua sacrifices himself, so he sends off the air pod. And this is once again, this goes to like a very powerful performance from a very young actress.
For sure. Oh yeah.
Where, like she's like, I don't want you to go. Like and it was like you felt it. And so they say that, he says, I love you, Alfie. She says, I love you too. And then he sends her off in the escape pod.
And now all of a sudden there's oxygen back on the planet. Yeah. So Joshua can breathe now, even though he couldn't breathe a second
ago. And so he is running, he's just walking through the Nomad ship, just waiting for it to explode. And he sees Maya. He sees a sim.
Yeah, he sees a sim, and then Alfie uploaded Maya's brain into...
and then it says, the sim says Joshua. So I think he clicks, because he had given her the necklace of Maya anyway. Yeah. So I think it clicks to him like, oh, this sim recognized me, it must be her. Yeah. So they get to embrace right as the Nomad ship blows up.
Because remember, the human soul now can just be downloaded into a little sim card and put into a simulant now. Yeah. Which, I mean, hey, cool, but like I want more, because I'm like, what the fuck does that mean for like humanity? Yeah. But anyway.
And then so Nomad ship blows up, which is like you said earlier, Haroon was saying like that'll be a win. Yeah. Because that's the only way that the Western world is winning this war.
I mean, but for the record, we've seen the U.S. just fuck up people this entire time, even without the Nomad. We've seen them fuck up people. But yes.
So all the missiles are like that they were shooting at the different AI bases are stopped.
Why?
Well, not all. The remaining ones that did not already destroyed.
Like 4 or 5 more. They still hit the ground. I don't know why these missiles did.
That was weird. It was just like it was flying and then it was just shut off and landed.
But like it's whatever. Yes.
Anyway, so it's a win for the Resistance. You see that the Nomad ship crash lands on Earth, and shortly after, so does Alfie in her escape pod. She gets out and she's initially crying because of the fact that she just lost her parents, basically. Yeah. But then she smiles, realizing that
it ends with her smiling. Yeah. Yeah. And like literally, it's like she's crying, and again, from the performance of this young actress, she's crying, she's upset, and then you just see her transform to like smiling because all these people are cheering her on and cheering that like the end, because she knows that now, because they did this, AI has a chance.
And now that robots can be free.
And that robots can be free and they have a chance. Yeah. Scene, movie. And that's the movie. So what we always like to do at the end is just kind of revisit our original reviews. I know at the end here got a little chaotic because that's what the movie was. It got a little chaotic here at the end. But Mike, you gave it a 2.5 in the beginning. Are you sticking with it?
I think I'll stick with that 2. I want to bump it up to 3 just because of the performance of the little girl and some of the other actors. But I think just the chaos and the kind of loose ends that they I guess in their minds they tied up, but it leaves more questions and answers. For sure. Yeah. Or kind of, it's more frustrating because it was, like I said, the stuff with Drew, the change of heart with Joshua. What is this? What does it mean for them to be able to transfer consciousness into AI? If that's the case, then why were they fighting so hard to eradicate it? Right? Yeah. I mean, even the antagonist motivation seemed to wane throughout. It didn't make sense. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the government. Maybe that was the commentary of it. It was just like maybe they're not as forthcoming with their intentions or motives as you would believe. I don't know. There was just so much potential if they just had more time. Like I said, give it a 4-part series. Now it doesn't need to be 12 hours long, but like just something to really, because you introduce so many elements that you weren't able to actually like really think out or anything like that. So I'm gonna stick with my 2.5. I think
I'm gonna give it a 3 because I'm sticking with it because like I love the world, I love all this. I literally walked out of this movie with the thought of I wish I was a better writer so I could hit up these people and be like, I want to write the novelization of this movie and really expand your fucking world, because there's so
very
many
much
cool
it could have been
things.
Like a Doom.
Oh, exactly.
Or something like that. Or like I said, it was very much Westworld-esque or Blade Runner.
You could like really go into this like Blade Runner. You could really like flesh out this world as like Blade Runner-esque, but still very unique in its own way.
Honestly, you could have a little short, because Blade Runner 2049 had, I think, 3 shorts associated with it. And it was like Batista's character kind of just living in the world. Like, so they were able to do it, even like Jared Leto's character had one. So it was like, I want to see one with like the police, or like Drew's experience in the city. Yeah, like absolutely. You said, it doesn't need to be 45 minutes, but like something, his experience going from a soldier in a war against AI to
in it, like the manager of an AI factory.
Yeah.
He's like the manager of this AI factory now, and like, or maybe he's still undercover.
That's I was gonna say. He's still
I
undercover,
don't know.
but So I interrupted your.
No, yeah, but so yeah, I think like there's just so much more this world has to offer, and I love the philosophical ideas that they're trying to portray here. It just wasn't a great execution. So again, I probably really could give it a 2.5, but since I like the world and what they're trying to say so much, I'm giving it a 3. So yeah, and that is The Creator, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to reach out to us, we are at 2meddlingkids on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at 2meddlingkids@gmail.com. Mike, how can they reach out to you?
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
And if you'd like to reach out to me, I am at EdHunt77 on Instagram and Twitter, and my comic is hunt.comics on Instagram. And we'll be back next week with a brand new movie, y'all. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.